It's not the World Book Day, but I promise you at the end of this episode, you will think it was the World Book Day. And that's because I have in the studio with me someone who is a fantastic writer who has distinguished himself in the art of writing. Not just stories, not just fictions, but also the very delicate genre of poetry. I have in the studio with me a very, very poetic individual. And you can tell with his outfit as well that he's come to make a statement, not just to be on the show, but also almost always to hijack the show from me. And I'm not going to let him today. Right, I have in the studio with me Tolu Yemi. Thank you very much for joining us today. Exactly, that's a very interesting way. He will tell you why he's roaring later on, but yeah, that's a very interesting. I've seen videos of you roaring. Yeah. Is that something that you do? Usually, when you meet people, do you roar? Is that how you greet people?
Mainly at my shows, at my events, I love to roar. Right. It's a sign of life, you know. My first poetry collection, Dead Lions Don't Roar. When I wrote that book, when I published it, I would go out.
And you roar.
Yeah, to perform. Then I would encourage the audience to roar. So everyone is roaring. People are throwing up chairs, you know. Everywhere's electric. Yeah, so then since then, it's just been like a tradition.
Oh, nice.
When I mount up the stage, everyone already, once they Tolu Akiyemi is there, everyone is roaring. And, you know.
Oh, so, nice. I can imagine maybe your close circle of friends, and when you see each other on the street, you just roar.
I do that often. Even when people call me on the phone, people like, my friends are like, they call me, I say, rah.
I just imagine you guys, maybe you are on this aisle in Lidl and your friend is on the other aisle and you can meet at the teeth and you just go
like everyone just like it's just like it's fun anyway. Even when people watch like interviews I've been on, people are roaring back at home. Like we see on the comments, people say, "Oh, we are roaring at home as well." Nice. So it's form of like energetic. It gives life and people. You know, imagine you are down and people are roaring around you. It just gives you like that life.
So. Absolutely. I mean, thinking about it now, it would take some form of energy to roar, and you very likely will not feel sad after roaring because the idea of trying to dramatize being a lion, you know, just gives some energy, just brings it back to life, sort of. So that's nice. That's really nice.
Even when I've been to places to perform, like people come to me and say, "We love your confidence." Like even white people come up to me and say, "Oh, that's so powerful." Yeah. I performed recently in Manchester, and someone came up to me and said, "Oh, going forward, I'll be roaring as well." Nice. So that you've got like we've got your replicas all around now,
roaring everywhere.
Everywhere. When I went to Paris last December, people were roaring along with me in the audience. It was at the Spoken Word Paris. It was magical. It was really good. Yeah, so we've taken the roaring out of even beyond the UK now. Yeah, it's a global thing. Yeah,
so you want to get the world roaring, really? Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Get the world alive, roaring. Dead lions don't roar. When you're alive, use your gift, use your talent, and just be the best version of yourself.
Right, we haven't even started the show and you are already dropping gems and not even called that beg. No, but really, that's a fantastic way to look at life and to and it's an animal really to become very symbolic, part of human life and existence and journey towards being a better version of yourself. That's great. So tell me about. I know you have a business called The Roaring Lion, yeah?
The Roaring Lion Newcastle.
Exactly. So tell me about that. Let's start with that.
Yeah, so that's the publishing imprint. That's like the home of, books. And at the moment we publish like African literature, African writers, in the UK publishing space. African writers are underrepresented. So we tend to like support like underrepresented writers within the UK publishing space. Right. And so apart from myself on the imprint, we have other writers signed onto the imprint as well. Right. And we are getting more authors on the imprint this year with books that we are publishing this year and next year as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the Roaring Lion Newcastle. You can check. People can check us out at the roaringlionnewcastle.com. We have a fantastic team, and so we are growing. We are scaling up as well. And for me, I love the fact that at the moment the Roaring Lion Newcastle, even when I'm not around, the engine is running.
It keeps roaring.
Yeah, it keeps roaring. And that's what even when as founders, when we are building things, we must build, companies, institutions that can outlive us. Yeah, so at the moment I know that even if I'm not here today, that company will still keep running.
Interesting. So let's backtrack for a bit. Your fascination with words, with stories, with poems. How did that begin?
Yeah, so I think it started back home, growing up in the family. My dad, he studied English and literary studies
Right.
at the prestigious University of Ibadan.
Oh God!
Not
I'm
Oxford,
angry.
not Oxford, not Cambridge.
I'm angry. I thought it was Obafemi Awolowo because that's the only prestigious university in Nigeria anyway. But let me.
At the prestigious, let me reiterate, the prestigious University of Ibadan. Yeah, so
Right.
we had a lot of books in the house, the Achebes, the Shoyinkas, the Ofagunwas, and then, but when we were growing up like that, when they wanted to like speak to you, reprimand you, he would talk to you in your quotes. My dad would be like, a Dio Fagunwa's book.
Yeah.
So maybe
I love it.
Maybe you're toasting a babe, and it's like And also a child that wakes up in the early part of his life who is chasing women will never become important. So we just call like in Dio Fagunwa's book, in Achebe. So my dad would be that person. So but growing up, I used to be like really introverted, but I found solace in books, in literature. So I think that was where that culture initially began. I used to read a lot. I'm that guy who would pick up a newspaper, who would read it like back to back, read the obituary section as well. Like I will read
scary.
I will read like back to back. So that was me. So that was where the fascination first came about. Then later I wrote a screenplay while I was in junior secondary school. Then I wrote a screenplay, just the normal Nollywood type of so that was really good. And I now started journaling as well. I used to be so interested in politics, in history, not just Nigerian history, but in world history as well. So that was where the whole, just then when I went to university, then I started like writing.
What uni was that? Sorry,
University of Ado-Ekiti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I started writing like finance articles for the school, and for my department, finance articles published. So I just started writing. Then after that, I started blogging as well at toluakiyemi.com. I used to write a lot of like personal development articles. So when the old Feladro Toye, they were all booming as motivational speakers, Steve Harris and all the back then in Nigeria, Jimmy Tewa and Co. We were like the B. If they were like the A list, we were like the upcoming. Right. Upcoming. I used to do like a lot of seminars as well, youth development seminars. So for me, I just found solace in like literature, in writing, even whilst working at a retail bank like in Manchester back then. I used to write like wise words of the week. So writing has always been like a part of me. Like I would just write and write. So I'm actually very happy that all these books are now here today, like evidence of all the work. But writing, I would say, credit to my dad. It was a home where language was the most important element. My dad studied English. My mom was a teacher at the time, so she taught Yoruba and French. So imagine the home where English, Yoruba and French was a thing. Yeah, so it was, so then I think my maternal grandmother as well. She used to tell a lot of stories. Right. She would tell me what happened in 1940 something, 1950. She would just recollect. So storytelling has always been like a major focal point in the home growing up, and my introverted nature really helped as well, because rather than go to parties, I would just stay home, hiding myself, reading books, and so I think that's.
And then here we are. If not more than a dozen books that's here.
23 books.
What?
The Lion of Newcastle. Wow.
Now that's a lot. Tell me how you approach storytelling. Do you wait till you have the full picture? I mean, people, playwrights and writers typically work differently. Do you wait till you have the full picture in your head from the starting point to the end of it, or do you just pick up your pen once you're inspired and start writing and hope that as you go along it keeps clicking?
Yeah, so I don't wait to have the full picture. So I just I start writing, say my poetry. The inspiration would just normally flow. So I'm not the sort of writer that would say, write 100 words a day or 200 words a day. But ideally, I don't need to have the full picture. I'll give like couple of experiences. For my collection of poems that speak to the Black experience, Black does not equal inferior. For that collection, it was just every morning I've been running now. Like I wake up every morning, I put on my running shoes, I run every morning, and I've been doing that consistently for over 15 years.
What?
Yeah, every morning. Even when I'm like sick, unwell, I will still try my unless maybe I'm in a different country, travel or stuff. But I would just so Black does not equal inferior whilst running, jogging. I'll be running. The inspiration is dropping. I'm writing. So for me, I don't really have to see the full picture because it just just when the inspiration drops, then I write. Yeah. So even like home emotion. Even whilst writing, something just happens. You get like a new idea, a new inspiration, a new poem drops. Yeah. So for me as a writer, I don't really have to see the full picture. And most of my writings are a reflection of universal human experience, the things that affect me, that affect you, that affect the man out there. We all suffer, we all enjoy, we all experience the same sort of things. That's why someone will pick up my book. I was with Daps last night and it was like, oh, totally of emotion was really. I was just laughing.
Yeah.
Was that your plan to just make? I said, well, my writing, it elicits different sorts of emotions from people that will cry, people that will be angry. At times, true, in a book, you can see something that really...
Yeah, absolutely. You can really like, yeah, you're right.
It's talking to me.
You're right.
Yeah, so for me, I just want like writings that would, make you think, make you feel, make you imagine. Yeah, so but to answer your question, I don't have to see that full picture.
Right. Excellent. Right. I see you write fictions too, don't you?
Yeah.
Great. So tell me, the fiction, because I know writing a poem is totally different from writing a fiction. Because, a poem, you probably will start and maybe depending on what style you're writing, maybe like a sonnet or whatever, you can finish it in say a page or two.
Yeah.
Right. But a fiction is a running story.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you start your fictions? What's the process like for you? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what is the writing process like for you, particularly for fictions?
Yeah, so my collection of short stories, Infinite of Silence, even when I started writing that collection of stories, the idea just dropped in my head and I picked up my phone and I just started, writing the stories one after the other. And for me, I think the most important thing is to have an outline. Right. What do you want to write about? Know what you're writing about, and what's the plot of the story. So you keep developing it, keep working on it. Yeah. So I think the difference between poetry and a full length, either a novel or a collection of short stories, is that with poetry you have the benefit of brevity of language. Whereas, so maybe a short poem, I could say everything that I've said in my collection of stories. Yeah. So, but with the short stories, you have to, you need to just keep, you have a message to pass across. Yeah. And you just need to keep writing. And yeah. So I think for my own writing process, I have an outline. Right. Yeah. So then the story that I want to write, so I just keep writing. So that's the process for me.
Okay, great. So now, speaking particularly to Home in Motion, I read everything in a day.
Wow.
And I started scribbling because some particular poems spoke to me.
Yeah.
And I gave you feedback immediately, this poems. I like Deflowered in page 11. I like Restless Bird in page 23. I like My Country in page 30. I like King's Cross in page 17. These particular ones, perhaps because I could relate. Yeah. Being a migrant here in the UK as well, these stories were very rich. These poems were very rich and very relatable. Before I delve into it, how much of all of these poems are from your experiences?
Yeah, so I would say some of them are from my own experiences, and some others are just, imagined. Right. Yeah. So as a creative, I would be lying to say, oh, these are not some are not my experiences
Right.
because we all pick from our own life,
Yeah.
things that happen to us,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
things that happen to people around me. Yeah, so just a combination of my own experiences and universal experiences that affect people as well. But because it's home emotion, collection of poetry that speaks to part of my own migration story and experience as well, then there's a lot of fusion and storytelling through those poetry of my own experiences as well.
Do you find it like a burden of a sort as a poet when you are, for example, out with your friends and you're enjoying a really good time, but you are triggered to write it as a poem because you've had a fantastic? Because I'm like King's Cross here. Once at London King's Cross, a wandering stranger. Now I have become the King's Cross.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was so short and so powerful. I'm like, what the fuck was this guy thinking? I'm like, just enjoy the place and leave. But no, you have to tell a story. Do you find that as a burden sometimes?
Yeah, at times it's a burden. And I think from some of the criticism that I received for my work in the past, a critic once said that if it feels as if Tolu also had this burden that he was going to die anytime soon, like he just needed to write. He just wants to write. Like Tolu wants to write.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like I carry that burden. I was once. Also, there's this poem about the karaoke party.
Okay. I remember that one.
Yeah, that karaoke party.
Yeah.
So I actually wrote that poem whilst at a karaoke party.
Can you imagine?
Yes, so that was where in Benwell, and that was where the idea came from. So, like you said, I could be having a good time, and already I'm thinking about having this idea, or so people are like, enjoying themselves there, and we're like, I'm thinking about words, scribbling stuff on my phone, and
right.
So for a writer. The inspiration can come anywhere, so you must always be ready. Right. It could be on the bus, it could be driving, it could be your own life experience. So just be ready, be at alert, because that inspiration, that thing that could lead to a best-selling book, a book that will resonate with people all around the world. It could just be, so you don't say, because I'm somewhere else now. I can't, So and just writing now is just accessible these days. Like you can write, you don't need to have a pen and the paper. You don't need your laptop. Just have a functional phone,
and you're good to go.
You're good to go. So for me, 100%, I carry that burden. Like I'm restless.
I can imagine.
And whenever the inspiration comes, like it flows. Like I'm not, like I said earlier, I don't give myself any pressure to say, write every day. But once I started writing, I just started writing
that's it. And we also did discuss that we were going to make a performance of any of your poems right on this show. And please, I hope that agreement still stands.
It still stands.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But let's talk about another part of this conversation, and that's the fact that having left Nigeria to the UK, you decided again to go back to Nigeria. In essence, you Japa-da. Yeah. Like a recall. You
reverse Japa.
I swear.
Japa-da.
You added re to the relocation. An extra re to the relocation.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision?
Yeah, so for me, at the time I relocated back to Nigeria, I was settled in the UK. I had a good job, working.
Maybe if you don't mind, shall we trace back to, let's trace back to growing up.
Okay.
Right. And then how you got to the point of having to relocate to the UK. First, how you settled, then what triggered you to go back to Nigeria. Shall we take it from there? Excellent.
Yeah. So I grew up in Ekiti State in the early part of my years. I still have recollection of, those years, those moments. I used to I tell my son, like, I tell my wife too that I remember like things that happened to me like when I was 2 years old. Like I have
such memory.
I have such great memory of events of the past. So I grew up in the Ekiti State. I think around 7-8 years. We moved to my dad moved initially to Lagos. Then we joined him like a year after. Then we moved to Lagos. We lived in Omole phase 1.
Posh.
Yeah, it was posh, but we weren't posh. Imagine. Okay, so my dad was a teacher back in the Ekiti State. Then he moved into the financial services in Lagos. Then my mom, she also was teacher at Omole Grammar School at the time. Yeah, so moved to Lagos. We hustled through life, moved, from the bottom. My dad is really, really positive, so before even it became a thing, like for there to be all these inspirational pastors, motivational pastors and all of that. My dad used to be that figure in our own lives that would inspire us to say, oh, someday, even when everything looked like really bleak, he would say, oh, someday we'll fly on the plane, we will all travel out. Then I'm not sure anyone had the passports in the house. He had like massive dreams. So he gave us, we flew on the wings of dreams.
Yeah.
It was that. It sold us dreams. It sold us vision. It sold us that, yes, you can have a good life. So grew up in Lagos. Then from Omole, we moved to Akute. So my dad built a house in Akute. Then when we moved to Akute, so my dad is that sort of person that would say, rather than be living like a fake life in Omole, I'd rather move to Akute.
Right.
Then just cut your clothes
according to your cut your
coats according to your clothes.
According to your fabric at this
Yeah.
point.
So we went back to Akute. Then when down the line, it was not able to buy another house in Omole. Then we moved to Omole again, the same estate where we were tenants. Then we became landlord in the same estate. Then was able to buy more and all of that. Yeah, so it was just a good story of grass to great story. Then I studied at University of Ado-Ekiti, studied economics.
Right.
Then when it was time to go abroad, my dad was like, oh, okay, time to go abroad. I applied to the University of Hertfordshire to study masters in accounting and financial management. So at that stage, 2010, it wasn't really more of people that want to Japa for like better outcome. It was just go over there, study, develop yourself, then come back and add value to your country. So that was the whole idea. So I got to Hertfordshire. It was a match made in heaven for me. Yeah, I achieved the laurels at the University of Hertfordshire. I was a student ambassador. I worked for the uni. So after graduating as well, I lectured once for them as well, and I was paid to lecture. After graduating, I got a job with them as an assistant administrator. So it was just like, the beginning of a good life. So that was the whole Hertfordshire story. Then I used to work in Hertfordshire. Then I applied. The job I was doing was like on a fixed time basis. Right. I applied, to that same job. So they now advertised that job on a permanent basis, and I applied to the same job that I was doing. Like I was like the best. Like I was the best in that department at the time. So it wasn't my manager who interviewed me. It was my manager's manager. Okay. So I got, unfortunately.
Oh my!
Right. So I got, unfortunately. So and that day, at the office, I wept. And my manager came to console me, and everyone came to say, oh, Tolu, no, so sorry. I cried. Like, I was so vulnerable. And I was like, what did I... They said, oh, someone else, a white lady got the job and everything. I was like, I'm doing this job like... I'm giving you my blood, tears, and sweat, like contributing everything. And now you're not giving me this same job that I'm doing perfectly well. Right. So then that was how my journey into financial services started. Right. So I did an interview to enter the UK financial services sector. I got the job, so I go back to the office. I dropped my resignation. But because I didn't go to the office the previous day, my manager now said, so they now offered me a job without an interview at the university to compensate me.
I see.
It's just like they've given like giving a goal that should not have been a goal. So they say, the next match will give you 3 points. Right. So they gave me a job without an interview, come with a member of a trade union to discuss terms, all of that. And I said, oh no, sorry.
I already moved.
I've moved. This is me done. So that was how my foray into the financial services started in the UK. Then worked with a major UK bank. Then from there moved to another major bank as well. Then at that point in time, life was good. I was living in Manchester, earning good money.
Whereabouts in Manchester did you live?
So lived various areas in Manchester. Lived in Moston.
Moston.
I lived in Moston. I lived in I think it's a
Gosford?
Gorton.
Okay.
Lived in Gorton.
Right, that's interesting. I lived in Manchester for a bit too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then which other? I lived in, I think around, is it Sale?
Oh, sale. Yeah.
So yeah, just moved a couple of places in
Right.
Manchester. Yeah,
Right.
so yeah, so then from there, I now got a job offer in Nigeria. I had 2 other offers in the UK. So at that point, I had like 3 offers. And my dad was like an apostle of, oh, Nigeria is a great nation. Come back home. Come and contribute your quota to the Nigeria. You know, come and contribute your quota to Nigeria. Come and help move Nigeria forward and all of that. So I got a good job offer back home in Nigeria. I had 2 other offers in the UK, so I had to, and I still had the job, yeah. So I now had to decide what I wanted to do, and I said, okay, I'll go back to Nigeria. So I said, oh, no worries. I love taking risk. I'm a risk taker. I'm not want to shy away from, like, if I feel there's a new challenge for me, I'm happy to, like, you know, take the risk, move. So I did what I had to do, move the whole family down to Nigeria. Got to Nigeria. The job was just my dad who made the whole coming home really smooth. I had bought a house for me around very close to the office, just about 4 minutes drive.
Right.
Even about 2 minutes drive to the office.
Right.
You know. Then so it was smooth. Got back to then after like 4 months, I was posted to Asaba.
No, that's witchcraft.
That was like from the UK to Asaba.
What the fuck?
From
Maybe
the
soft
UK.
landing in Lagos for a bit.
Yeah, for 4 months.
Throw you away. Wow.
Yeah, to Asaba. So when I got to Asaba, it was just a new world entirely for me. Even at times in the office, the light, NEPA takes the light. I have to pull off my clothes. We're all sweating. I'm like, oh no, this is not what I signed up for. Like then it was still like the beginning of the. I think it was Jonathan handing over to Buhari.
Oh.
So it was still like a good time a bit. Then when I got to Asaba, that was the beginning of Buhari's meaningless change.
Whoa.
let me reiterate, Buhari's meaningless change. So that was that beginning of that era. So then I would travel down from Lagos to Asaba on the road. If my car breaks down, my people in Lagos, they are already eating panic station, like, oh, what's going on? Hope it's safe. And, you know, so then, you know, the dynamics in the UK and Nigeria is quite different.
Totally different. And I wanted to talk about that, but when you're done with the story.
Yeah, so working in Nigeria, even when in Lagos, if my sales director does not leave the office, you just have to pretend. Even you just have to, you know, everyone is looking at the boss. But you know, in the UK, even we are doing training. When it's 4 o'clock, people are pulling off their headphones. They don't care. They have their, you know, childcare obligations, things to do. So we work on, like, people work with time in the UK, but in Nigeria, nobody respects your time.
Yeah.
They take it for granted. And it was just like a really sticky situation. And then my wife was pregnant. She was sick at the hospital on admission. And at a point, they just declared me like persona non grata. Like, you can't even. They said, "Oh, we don't want to see you in Lagos." Like, they're like, "We don't want to see you in Lagos." I'm like, "Hey, my wife is dying. Like, this is serious, a serious situation." She had this hyperemesis gravidarum during the pregnancy period. Yeah, so she was on admission, like in and out of hospital, and I was in Asaba.
Wow.
And so when I assessed the situation, that was even the main, you know, when I just look at the whole Nigeria thing, the way Nigeria was going, I said, oh no, this actually not for me. Like, you know, in life you can take decisions. If it doesn't work out well for you, don't feel bad to retrace your steps.
Yeah.
I think that's one vital lesson for me. Like, even as on an individual level, when I take a decision, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm not saying what will people say.
Yeah.
You know, at times we take a decision and we feel like, oh, yeah, we just stayed there. Well, because if we go back now, people will say from UK against Nigeria. And then coming to Nigeria, then, like, from the UK, I feel like, oh, this was a really beautiful Japa story, coming to contribute to my nation music.
Contributor.
My colleagues were like, my Japa story, they turned into like Jagbajantis.
I know.
Like it was just impractical. How can you come home? Like, how can you come to Nigeria? There's more to this story. Like, people were like, oh, maybe there's more to this story. But for me, it was just like, oh, let me come to Nigeria and everything.
You're feeling patriotic. I love it.
Feeling patriotic. Let me come and contribute my quota, you know. Don't let us be part of the brain drain. Let's be brain gain. Yeah, but Yeah, then
I'm sure you already wrote a poem about it as well. You were ready. You were roaring, ready to roar. But Nigeria silenced the lion in you.
the lion was quiet. Yes.
Oh
so,
my goodness.
Yeah. So then from Asaba, I came to the UK on vacation during that was around April 2016. About March, April 2016. During my vacation, I had like 3 interviews during my vacation, and when I go back to Nigeria, I just made that decision. I said, that's it. I've had enough. Like I've had enough.
Right.
So I just went back, wrote my resignation, and I said I'm resigning. My boss said, not my boss, my head of department said, you have to go back to Asaba to resign. Like to do your notice period, 1 month in Asaba. I said,
like hell no.
It's like this one is like a village. This is what they call village people.
Oh my
Go back to Asaba for what? So he said, go back to Asaba to serve your notice. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just leaving. I will just let me know I want over and all of that. They said, but we just brought it. So everybody was like, oh, we just brought it from the UK. We just supported your relocation. We just did that. You're leaving us now. This, that. Have you gotten a job in the UK? Have you done this? Even the HR director called me, was like, why are you leaving us? Why are you leaving us? But you just came back now. What's in the UK? Have you gotten a job? I said it's all right. I'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
I lived there for so many years. I worked there for so many years. I know my way around. I came back in 2016.
Right.
Within a month of arriving back in the UK, I got a job.
Can you imagine?
Actually, I had like 4 offers. So, and the first one to click was Newcastle.
Right. Interesting. So tell me, the first few weeks when you returned to Nigeria, take me through the journey of how you were adjusting one after the other, having left the country for a bit. What was it for you? What was it like for you? The sharp contrast in the reality. How was it like for you adjusting to that new, Nigerian reality when you returned?
Yeah, it wasn't easy because it's just imagine moving from solitude, where everywhere is quiet, peaceful, orderliness, law, then moving to a state of chaos. So it was just...
I can imagine.
So why did you change my wallet?
Right. From
tapping in to from peace and quiet to all the noise, to all the pollution, to everything. Like it was difficult. But I think the only thing like that was really good about Nigeria, like the major thing was that family around, having help and all of that. Yeah, that made it really easy. Then the fact that my house to the office was really close.
Right.
Yeah, so that made it like really, really...
Yeah, until you were going to Asaba.
Yeah, until I was sent to Asaba. That was a reality, that was a big shock for me as well. And even the fact that I came from the UK, it was more of like in the UK, you are more of like outspoken. Right. You share your ideas. You don't fear any boss. So they won't see it as a trend, like, who is this guy? Where is it coming from?
Yeah,
you have which kind of idea?
Yeah.
So, but I had bosses that also believed in me, believed in my talent as well. So, but in Nigeria, sacrifice is a big thing as well. They don't respect your weekends, like not overtime, but as a Saturday, Sunday, they are calling you, buzzing your phone. Where are you? Guys, I'm having a good time. let me be.
Right.
So it wasn't easy, like acclimatizing, adjusting. The sunlight alone, Nigeria sun will show you shaggy. Like UK's weather, like on the skin, everything is just fresh, it's calm. When it's raining, Manchester used to rain a lot, but even with the rain, when it's raining, it's gentle on your skin. Like it's chill. Like it's just like a warm hug. Like UK, but Nigeria was just So
I can imagine.
It was really tough. Like acclimatizing. Even I think after 4 months, I was telling my wife that let's go back. After like 4 months,
I'm even curious. How were you able to convince her to leave the UK with you and go to Nigeria? She's a great shout out to you, Mr. Akinyemi, because you will convince me, Taya.
But I think maybe our present self now, if I were to go back again, maybe she wouldn't go now.
Well, I don't blame her.
I think now she wouldn't go. But for me, I'm still like open anytime I see home. Like the book title says, home emotion. I'm always in motion as well, as a poet, as a writer, looking for spaces, anywhere. Like even when I go on vacations abroad, when I go on the holiday, what I'm looking for is where are writers converging. I was speaking with a friend. She was like, "Oh, I look for where's the beach around me. I'm looking for where writers are. I'm looking for a community of writers around me. Where's the poetry event around me? Where can I perform my work? Because so for me as a writer, I'm open to like moving. I'm always in motion.
Right.
I'm in flight.
Right.
I'm a restless bird as well. So I'm not. I don't think I will be confined to a particular space to say, oh, I'm constrained to be in the UK all my life, and I'm also a risk taker. So I love taking risks. Right. And if it doesn't work, like my Japa story, I'll return. Yes.
Right. Which is good. I like that the title of your compilation is Home Emotion.
Yeah.
And that's quite a significant theme in the concept of Lost in Transit podcast in the first place, because essentially it's for us to discuss with people who have, for want of conversation, found a new home, as against where they were born, and how they're acclimatizing, how they're out there building this home brick by brick, how they're building these experiences as well, and sharing. So tell me, I'd like to know from your point of view, someone who was born in Nigeria, grew up in Nigeria, traveled elsewhere, experienced elsewhere, then returned back, that's flights, that's back and forth. How did it help you understand the concept of home differently?
Yeah, I think it helped me in a great way, getting to understand that home is anywhere you find peace. Home is anywhere you find rest. So the fact that they are gassing you up to come and contribute to Nigeria. If you are watching us, don't let anyone gas you up, bro.
Don't fall for it.
Don't fall, it's a scam. I had a friend that she said, Tolu, it's like people in Nigeria enjoying on Instagram. I said, please. People curate what they want you to see.
Absolutely.
They may be drinking Gary. People are drinking Gary and they are posting their best pictures. They are showing you their best life.
Yeah.
No one is showing you their worst possible life. And for me as a writer, the gospel I want to preach to people is that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay for people to know to understand your process. That it wasn't all perfect. And I will just use this as an example. So many great writers today, they erase their initial works. They don't want people to know about those works. So maybe you released a first book, and when you were not that great writer, when people didn't really know you, and let's say the book was not up to standard, it was shite. Now that you've become this phenomenal writer, people now know you all around the world, you now unpublish that book because you are trying to delete that as part of your journey. So, but for me, I think it's okay for us to show people that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to start small and get to the top, because that process is what is what would inspire those who are coming. I don't want to tell you, okay, you became a billionaire.
How did you
become that billionaire? From fashion, being the fashion designer to having 20 oil blocks. Tell us the process.
True.
Don't just become a motivational speaker to say, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm funding this, I'm funding that. How did it happen?
Yeah.
Let people understand that there's a process to life.
Right.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like going back to Nigeria, coming back to the UK has helped me to shape my concept of home as well. And I see like good name Lost in Transit. A lot of people, we are not lost in transit, but a lot of people say maybe they are lost in transit, and I say, oh, they want to be buried back. They want to be buried in Nigeria. Why do you want to be buried in Nigeria? You spent your whole life in the UK. Why is the UK not that home? What's great if Nigeria was all that great that deserves your dead body? Why did it not deserve your living, like when you were alive? Why were you not there?
Right.
Contributing to that country. If you believe that, I want to go and rest in Nigeria, who says you cannot rest in peace in the UK? So for me, the concept of home is anywhere where you find rest, you find peace. Because a lot of young people, they've left Nigeria.
Right.
and they found their dreams in foreign lands. A lot of Nigerians all over the world, we are doing phenomenal things.
Right.
We are doing great things. Just give them, stamp their visa,
and watch them soar.
watch them so
Watch them
roar. Anywhere a Nigerian finds him or herself in the world, in Nigeria will thrive. We are
Right.
exceptional
Absolutely.
on every front. Everything we do, we excel. So for me, home is where you find peace. The definition of that home, is
Must be this place.
it must be this place,
yeah,
must be that
where I was
place.
born, or
You could be in transit and it becomes home for you. It's wherever you find purpose,
Right.
let that be your home.
Great.
Don't run with the mindset that where I was born, where my grandfather, because you are also carrying a part of your ancestry as well. And wherever you are, you find purpose. For me, I can't talk about my journey to becoming a great writer without mentioning Newcastle. And so it will be a big violation for me to start talking about home and not talk about Newcastle upon time.
Great. And I did see that also in this book, you seem to still have a grasp or a hold of your Nigerianness, because I remember that in one of the pages you also gave kudos to Ekiti for your experience, which is great. Tell me about your time in Ekiti. I mean, the mountains and everything. Tell me about how you.
My time in Ekiti, it was great. It was phenomenal, and I still have great recollections. And Ekiti has a great tradition of learned people, academics, people in the academia doing really well, and I'm proud to belong to that great company, great heritage, fountain of knowledge, as we are called in Ekiti. Yeah, so for me, the books also show that I'm a great son of Ekiti State. Yes, I'm proud of Ekiti State, and for me, my Nigerianness I believe that it's very important for me to retain it. Like, people say, the accent. Yeah, I just love my Nigerian accent. Even if I'm in this country for 50 years, I just want to be like. I've immersed myself so much into the UK culture, but I still carry my Nigerianness just with me everywhere.
Right.
Like, I'm a proud Nigerian.
Great.
As much as I am also a proud Briton as well.
Nice, that's great. So we mentioned earlier, you promised you're going to do a performance of your book. So could you take your favorite poem from this book, from this compilation rather, and please do us the honors of having you read one of your favorite poems to the audience?
Yes, so this is titled "This Is Our City."
What page is that?
Page 6.
6, okay.
This is our city, from Home Emotion. This city knows my name, bore my pain. This was the spool from where dreams were woven with kindred. We are building castles on the Tyne. This bridge, a floating art, crest of imagination, a symbol of our transcendence. This is our city, Newcastle City, where anyone from anywhere can crystallize into a finished work of art.
I like how you played with the name of the city, the symbol of the city as well. Quite interesting. And maybe because I've lived here for a couple months, I can relate with things that you have written. Because here, I'm proud to say, is where I had the very first episode of The Lost in Transit.
Wow!
This was a dream that I had. I was showing someone a while back how I had paid for a studio session 6th of January 2023 in London for Lost in Transit podcast.
Wow.
But I mean, I was already on the way to the studio, and then the guest said she couldn't make it, so I cancelled it.
Wow.
And then I just lost. At that point, I'm like, I'm going to put it away for a while. And then I'm in Newcastle, and it started a dream that I put on hold for about 2 years. Started in Newcastle, so looks like Newcastle has got a thing for making things come alive, isn't it? I'm quite impressed, and you put it together beautifully. So I quite agree with all the words in here. Speaks beautifully of the city and its power to transcend imagination into reality. Really nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Done.
Yeah, so Newcastle is that place where anyone from anywhere you can crystallize. It's just left for you to take action.
Absolutely.
And when you tell your story tomorrow, there's no way you would not talk about Newcastle. So
Yeah.
you can see, like, it's just for you to, you have that dream, you have that vision.
Yeah.
Just take action. And
Right.
Newcastle has been that place. Has been that
I mean,
place.
I for one can attest to that. So yeah, we always do have a letter I mentioned earlier. We've got one here about someone who's contemplating relocation. It says here, "Dear Lost in Transit, I'm a young man based in Nigeria, and relocation is heavy on my mind. The UK has been a big dream for a long time, but I'm not so sure. Other countries are starting to seem attractive too. I don't want to make a rushed or wrong decision. I like to hear from someone who lives in the UK and has also, who's been to the UK and moved back to Nigeria, who can tell the difference between both. Is it worth it? How hard is it? And what should I prepare to look out for?"
Okay, so between the UK and Nigeria.
Yeah, someone who's had an understanding of both, who's left Nigeria, moves to the UK and back in Nigeria, and then back, who's literally done that thing that you have done.
Yeah.
Exactly that ping pong that you have done. Really, the person just wants to understand, because of course, naturally, if you lived in Nigeria, your understanding of how things happen in the UK is different from if you live in the UK. Right. If you've been to the UK and then back in Nigeria, you have a balanced understanding about what things are. So I guess that's what the person is trying to find out.
Yeah, so for me, I think the most important thing for the person to take into account is, number one, in the UK, I think the major difference between, the UK and Nigeria is that in the UK, just in the place of preparation, like, in Nigeria, when you maybe are looking for a job and all of that, maybe you need, apart from maybe your academic qualification, you need to know someone.
Yeah.
This place, you can become anything as long as you are dedicated,
Right.
you are willing to learn and all of that. And the UK, I think from my own experience in terms of maybe career, the UK values experience even more than academic qualifications. So something for that person to take note of. Then number two, when you come to the UK, don't be focused on London, because at times a lot of people just want you just know London, so everyone wants to go to London, so that you won't become Uncle London. So basically look for cities outside of London where you can start small. So at some point you could buy your own house, So I think what the UK does for you is that there's a level playing field, and I think that's how it differs to Nigeria. Like a lot of young people who arrive from Nigeria to the UK, they've bought their own houses, which ordinarily they would not have been able to achieve if they were still like back home in Nigeria. So for me, from my own experience, I think the UK gives opportunities to a lot of people in that area. So when it comes to being a level playing field, but consider the city you want to settle in the UK as well. Then when you're thinking of career,
right,
then your CV will be different from the way your CV would usually be organized in Nigeria. So that's also very different. Then be ready for winter as well.
Right.
The weather is quite different. The people also. So also I'm a big advocate for immersing oneself in the culture of the country you're coming into. A lot of people who arrive into a new country, they want to impose their own ideologies into their host country. I don't believe in that school of thought. Why your culture might be important to you, but the people you are meeting as well, they have their own culture and they would love to preserve their own culture.
Right.
Do not impose your own culture on them. Let's foster a community where love thrives, where unity thrives. So for me, I think that's very important as well.
Right. So I've got another note here. Dear Lost in Transit, I've been living in the UK for a few years now, chasing a dream that feels more distant by the day. The cost of living, the isolation, the endless grind, it's wearing me down. I'm seriously considering moving back to Nigeria. It feels like the UK dream might not be for me after all. But then again, what if I'm giving up too soon? Should I stay and push through or return home to find a new start? I'd appreciate hearing from someone who's walked this path.
Yeah, so from my own experience, I would say only return back only return to Nigeria if you can come back into the country. Just it's better to be safe than to be sorry, because not everyone might have the same opportunity that I had. Imagine, say your visa is expiring or you don't have a passport, and you return back to Nigeria and you're stuck in Nigeria. You might live your whole life regretting that decision. So it's a worthwhile thing to think about, to say, oh, is it, if I leave and I'm not able to come back, will I be happy with the consequences?
Right.
Is Nigeria on the upward trajectory? Possibly yes. However, would you get there and not become frustrated by your decision and regret making the move back home? Yeah, so I think for me it's very important to evaluate. I love taking risks. I love, I could wake up tomorrow, you could hear, I'm in the US, I'm somewhere else, but you also have to take calculated risk, not just any type of risk.
Right.
So when you go back, if you can't come back, if you have a passport, I can go, I can always come back. If you still have a visa that still has a lot of time left, you can go and still come back here. So, but just think about it very well critically. It's not a light decision, especially when you are moving. Even moving from Newcastle to Manchester to London is a tough decision.
I can imagine.
Talk less of like moving across oceans and yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, right. Like I said, we do have a couple FYIs, as it were, and this is about what you must do, what Nigeria would look like to you if you relocated back to Nigeria. 7 things to expect when you relocate back to Nigeria. I'm just going to mention it, and you can just relate to it. Right. 1, the culture shock. The reverse version, which is Nigeria will feel familiar and foreign at the same time. Was that the case for you?
Yeah.
Right.
Once you get to Murtala Mohammed Airport, feels familiar and you'll be shocked.
I know.
Like from Murtala Mohammed, everything just changes. Like even when they're already asking you for, what do you bring for us? What do you mean? You'll be like, oh, what's this? Then the song, the song will be burning. Like,
I know.
Like, where is this?
I know. I promise you, I was in Nigeria for a few weeks ago, and I couldn't relate.
Yeah.
For the better part of it, I was there for just a week.
Yeah.
But a lot of things were a shock to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
imagine I swear to God, imagine me going out without my card, without cash. I'd forgotten that I didn't need to. I was made. I'm like, I'll be double tap. I couldn't buy anything.
I went in 2019. I put my ATM card into the machine. In the UK, it returns your card before giving you money. Yeah. But in Nigeria, I think
it gives you money first.
I think it gives you money first. So I forgot to take my card out. So that's even a shock on its own.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Okay, so number 2, inconsistent systems. That's from electricity to government service to customer service. When I was in Nigeria, I had issues with my bank, and this particular one I had issues with a line, a network. I won't mention the name that I was using back in Nigeria, and I went there to go fix the line because I didn't use it in 6 months, so they had blocked it. So I went there to go, get it reactivated. And as soon as I sat, I could smell the bad customer service. It was so annoying to the point where I almost didn't want to complete the process, but I'm like, I have to finish this thing. Only for me to get there, sat in front of the person. The person was rude to me from the beginning, and now it's my turn to sit with you, and then you're asking me for money. Like, you're asking me for what I will give you for a weekend. I'm like, are you mad? Like, your service is horrible. You're asking me for... Anyway, let's keep it moving. Number 3 is family and society pressure. I mean, everyone expects you to have made it abroad, and then there's some pressure on you to, you must have come with some money. Was that the same thing for you?
Yeah, so there was that sort of pressure because just coming back from abroad and even relocating back, you're going to spend money.
I can imagine.
Spend money.
Right.
And people will believe that, you've brought a lot of money to So
I know.
It was that way.
I know. Okay, so there's also cost of living may surprise you. Perhaps if you thought that, right now everybody hears that how expensive things are.
Yeah.
And we think it's a joke. I was in Nigeria a few weeks ago, and it's not a joke. Things are bloody expensive. And that of course can be a shock as well. If you think perhaps you've got all the money.
You think because it's 2,000 to 1 naira.
Exactly.
You can survive.
Exactly.
If you are not going home with a war chest, like
absolutely, you're going to hear it. You are going to hear.
You're going to regret that.
I swear. And there's job market realities where, of course, you fancy degrees who automatically get you jobs. I mean, 100%. Here, exactly.
Nigeria is that place whereby you have a master's degree and you're looking for a job. They say, do you have ICANN? You don't have ICANN. Do you have what do you have? Do you have ACCA?
Exactly.
When you have ACCA, they say, do you have CFA?
Exactly.
So there's always something that is missing that you do not have.
Absolutely. And of course, a new sense of freedom. So you probably would think being in Nigeria would make you, stay out late because, of course, there are no... But even with that comes consequences because, of course, there's security challenges and everything like that. So these are some of the things to expect when you relocate back to Nigeria. And it's very interesting that you already, felt some of these things when you were back in Nigeria.
I felt it big time.
I can imagine.
I felt it big time.
I can imagine. So how can people get your book? Especially, I particularly recommend this Home Emotion. I like how you've been able to condense a lot of experiences into few pages. Yeah. I like how relatable it is, the writings there is. I like the choice of words, quite sublime, something that everyone can relate with, especially if you've been in the mix of, relocation. If you ever had to, it doesn't have to be maybe you live in one country to another, maybe just leaving your house to go spend the weekend elsewhere. Yeah. That newness of it can actually, be positive or negative depending.
Even within Nigeria, I've had to move around. I lived in Kano for a bit.
Oh, did you?
I lived in Port Harcourt for a bit.
I
lived in Ibadan, Asaba. So I moved around and just traversed some major parts of Nigeria. So the books are available on my website.
Oh, great.
Tolutoludo.com. So Home Emotion will still out on the 1st of July 2025.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Also available to pre-order on Amazon. All Amazon marketplaces. On Barnes and Noble as well.
Right.
Everywhere else where books are sold. But Tolutoludo.com, the Roaring Lion Newcastle.com as well. So
great.
Home Emotion. Yeah.
Great. So you've heard it. You can get any of this. You can get this book or any of his books on his website, The Roaring Lion.
Yeah, the Roaring Lion Newcastle.com and Tolutoludo.com.
What does Toludo mean?
Yeah, so Toludo was coined from Charles Toludo, the CBN governor. So whilst at the University of Ado-Ekiti, we visited the central bank office in Abuja. And my friends were saying, the next central bank governor. So they started calling me Toludo. When I became a poet, the way JJ Okocha was JJ, so good they named him twice. Then I started saying Toludo, so good they named me twice. But Toludo was from Charles Toludo being the central bank. I saw myself as a future central bank governor. I had that dream. I have a dream that someday I'll be the central bank governor.
Interesting. Do you still want to be the central bank governor of Nigeria?
I doubt it. So now my specialism is within financial crime compliance.
Right.
Last week I passed last week or the week before I passed my exam as advanced certified anti-money laundering specialist and risk management. I've had a career in the UK spanning over a decade now within the financial services sector. I work mainly within compliance testing and monitoring. When I'm not writing, publishing, I work in the financial services sector. But maybe within risk management, within the financial crime compliance space, I hope someday I can give back my talent to Nigeria, to the African continent, within, all the processes, everything we've learned in the UK from, foreign global jurisdictions, the US, European nations, we can take it back to Nigeria and make,
things better.
Have robust compliance frameworks back home in Nigeria. So
interesting.
The Japa story is still going to be alive.
Oh, right.
How soon? I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, but
do let us know when you get to.
But it becomes easy now. Yeah, I have the British passport. So.
It's just going to come out. I get it.
So if it doesn't work, I'm not back on the plane. Head back home.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Tolu. It was nice chatting with you. And thank you too for staying and watching this episode of the Lost in Transit podcast. Again, I said this book is one that you should try and get if you can, and if you really are looking to understand people's perspectives, especially Tolu's perspectives as a poet, with respect to relocation, changing homes, changing experiences, and changing where you are. Again, I am grateful that you have stayed with me on another episode of Lost in Transit. The next one will be equally fantastic as this one has been, and I assure you, you will not miss anything great if you stay with us. Until next time, to have a great bye. Or do you have something to say?
Can we have a large roar like a lion? Roar!
Let it go. Take care, guys. Bye.